What's a poor banker supposed to do? Coming out of the worst financial maelstrom in 80 years, the Commonwealth Bank this week delivered a record full-year profit of $6.1 billion and an unexpectedly large jump in dividends, up almost 50%, but no one's happy. Investors dumped the stock and the public called for a bank super profits tax. I spoke to the Commonwealth's boss, Ralph Norris, after the dust from his results had started to settle. Well, Ralph Norris, you've had a big profit, a record profit, $6.1 billion, but it was all in the first half, wasn't it? The second half wasn't so good.
There's no doubt that the second half has been more difficult on two counts, really. I mean, the first count is that deposit pricing has been significantly more competitive in the second half, particularly in the first quarter of the second half. And then as the half progressed, we did see a slowing in demand. So, there's been a softness in business conditions as well. So those two things together have put a bit of pressure on the business during the second half.
And is that why you're quite cautious now about the outlook?
I think it's more about prevailing economic conditions, and I think that if you talk to most people that over the last couple of months there's no doubt there's been a softening. We've seen a reduction in the demand for mortgages, and overall I think that there's been a lot of issues internationally that have obviously impacted upon local sentiment, and business confidence is obviously down. One of the things that we do find a little hard to rationalise is the very strong consumer confidence, but that's not really translating into expenditure or into house sales.
So is there also a structural overlay as well as the cycle, by which I mean that households and businesses are reducing their debt, restructuring their balance sheets, at the same time as the economy is softening a bit, so there's two things going on at once?
Well, I think we have a situation here where there are a couple of factors at play. I think that there's no doubt that we saw during the last year a significant pay down of debt by the bigger end of town. There's no doubt that there were a lot of equity raisings which led to a lot of debt being repaid. I think it's also fair to say that we have seen an improvement in arrears rates on consumer loans. We have seen an increase in deposits. So there's no doubt that I think that people are being a bit more cautious in approach to personal balance sheets, and I think small business and the like are taking a view that economic conditions are still somewhat uncertain, and therefore are not embarking upon any major projects, etc. So I think there's a combination of factors there, but when we look at the underlying performance of the Australian economy, it is performing very well. Trade surpluses are very strong, and all the leading indicators are that we would expect to see some improvement in the second half.
Yeah, but that's not particularly relevant to you if no one's borrowing any money.
Well, I think we're going through this period where obviously there's been a lot of choppiness in the news out there, and while I think that there is a degree of caution, looking at the forward economic forecasts by our economists here, they're still reasonably positive about the growth in the economy, growth in credit. But I think that it's fair to say that we're going through a period of some caution.
And there's been a lot of unhappy